We pulling?
Hey, I'm Zax, and here's our guide to Rick Reverb, the third boss in Liberation of Undermine. This guide is brought to you by Wowhead and their raid cheat sheets, which we'll tell you more about right after the boss. Also, big thank you to our supporters on Patreon. Hope you'll enjoy all the Patreon exclusive content we've got coming out this tier, like our weekly podcast and more. Alright, so Rick Reverb has two alternating phases. The fight is entirely single target on normal, but heroic has a little bit of AoE, and you'll want a bloodlust on pull. In phase 1, the boss spawns these amplifiers on the ground over time, which slowly gain energy, and if they hit full energy, they start doing crazy raid damage. And the main goal of the phase is to prevent these things from ever reaching full energy by draining them every once in a while. So here's how that should go. Tank the boss where he spawns and have the ranged group together about 20 yards away from him toward the middle of the room. The amplifiers spawn under the boss and near a random ranged player. So the ranged things stacked together not too far from the boss helps to keep all the amplifiers closer together and in predictable spots, which is helpful for later. When the boss casts amplification to spawn the amps, everyone should avoid the circle on the ground where they spawn, and the tank should instantly move the boss about 20 yards away from them because he gives extra energy to any that are too close to him. When one of the amplifiers starts getting close to full after about 25 seconds, an assigned player should run over to the amplifier and right click it to start draining it. This does big dot damage to the player, so they're going to need some extra healing, but they can still cast and everything while the drain is happening, and if they get too low on health, they can just move out of the circle they see around the amplifier and the drain will stop. You end up with 5 amplifiers by the time phase 2 happens, and on normal you only need like 1 or 2 ranged players to handle draining them all, but on heroic, draining an amplifier gives you stacks of a debuff that makes you take way more damage from draining for a while. This means you either have to rotate a bunch of players to be drainers, or what we recommend, which may be a little controversial, is to just 3 tank the fight and have the third tank run around draining the amplifiers the whole phase. That tank is going to take a lot of damage from draining with the debuff, but this strategy is legit 10 times easier than the alternative. That's all for the amplifiers, but there are a few regular mechanics going on too. Everyone but the tank has to stay out of the front of the boss because his melee swings do a little frontal. This frontal also puts stacks of a debuff on anyone it hits that drastically increases damage taken. So the tanks should taunt swap on the boss at as low stacks as possible, usually around 4 or 5 stacks. When the boss casts Echoing Chant, it makes all the amplifiers shoot these circles out in all directions for a few seconds, which everyone has to dodge because they do crazy dot damage. When the boss casts Sound Cannon, it marks a random player with a beam and then fires a blast at them a couple seconds later. This player should mostly just stand still so everyone else can easily dodge the blast. When a few random players get these blue circles around them, they should spread out and everyone should stay out of other people's circles because they pulse AoE damage in the circle. Also, if you have the blue circle on you, don't drain an amplifier because the circle makes you take increased nature damage too. And on heroic, when these little barrels spawn around the boss, everyone needs to help kill them before they explode on the raid after 15 seconds. If even one of them goes off, it's probably a wipe, so this is super high priority. Plus you even get a haste buff for doing damage to them. Once the boss reaches full energy, he starts phase 2, where he goes immune and starts casting Blaring Drop, which spawns this expanding ring under him that basically one-shots anyone it hits. And the only way to survive this ring is to find the random amplifier that has this blue circle around it and run into the circle before the ring gets to it, because everyone in the circle automatically gets knocked up in the air when the ring gets close, which lets you avoid the ring entirely. Then you have to do this a few more times back to back until the boss goes back to phase 1. This is why you want to spawn all the amplifiers kind of close together in phase 1, because you don't have a lot of time to run to each amplifier before each ring comes through. And it's not in the journal, but in testing, all the amplifiers were spamming those circles all of phase 2, so you have to dodge a ton of those while all this is going on too. When you get back to phase 1, there will be 1 amplifier left over that didn't get destroyed in phase 2, so put the boss about 20 yards away from it and then rinse and repeat. If you get all the way to a third phase 2, the boss enrages and doesn't go immune this time, and he spam casts the ring for the rest of the fight, so once you run out of amplifiers, it's GG. And that's pretty much it. For our recaps this tier, check out the new and improved Wowhead cheat sheets, a quick and easy way to get all of the key info for every boss in Liberation of Undermine, including concise strategies, key assignments, and any pro tips you might need. So check out the cheat sheet link in the description. And thanks again to our supporters on Patreon. We've got a ton of Patreon exclusive content coming this tier, like extended heroic guides, mythic walkthrough guides, and a weekly podcast. So check out that link below. See you next time.